Oh, but you want to kick off the intro?
When I could do the intro.
Go ahead, John. Spit that shit.
Welcome to the podcast of
you
Fresh Breath Mint. I did. I freaking do a blank real quick. Hold on. What's the name of this?
Wow.
The Breath Mint podcast. Okay. That's why we have edit. All right, guys, welcome to the Breath Mint podcast. This is season 1, episode 2. I go by the name of Jonathan. Y'all could call me John. I mean, y'all not gonna call me anything because we're in the podcast. Anyway, yeah. I'm John.
All right. Welcome back. If you're listening for the
What's your
second
name?
time,
What's your name?
What's your name, boy?
welcome back. If you're listening again, thank you for joining us. My name is Bucci.
I'm Will, a.k.a. the Fresh Prince, a.k.a. that model over there, a.k.a. the greatest looking man you'll ever see in your life. Says your mama.
Yeah, shut up. I want you to shut up right now.
All right. So hopefully if you listened to the last episode, you got to know us a little bit. You hear our dynamic. The point of the Breath Mint podcast is to have a fresh take on life. We're going to talk about pop culture. We're going to talk about all kind of events. We're going to talk about friendship, relationships, masculinity, and we're going to talk about health because that's important too. Today we're going to go a little different and kick right into the pop culture bit. So recently, one of our beloved heroes in the Black community, Bill Cosby, aka Bill Cosby,
Such a shame.
was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in state prison. Now, a lot of people have had their own opinions. I think it's been pretty controversial. I don't know why it's controversial, but a lot of people are very opinionated about what's going on. But we just wanted to start off and state some facts about everything that surrounded the case. And then we can sort of go around and hear our take, our opinion on everything that's going on. So here's some of the facts. So, hopefully we all know who Bill Cosby is. He is an actor, comedian, and a legend, producer as well, and a legend in the television and film industry. He was in the industry for
60s?
decades.
Yeah, 60s, I think.
Yeah. Recently, the reason why Bill Cosby has been in the news is that in 2014, Andrea Constand, an actress, accused him of drugging her and sexually assaulting her. And in the time that transpired over her trial, more than 30 women, some were actresses, some were models, some were not, they came forward alleging that Bill Cosby drugged and raped them. Another fact is during the deposition, Bill Cosby admitted to putting Quaaludes in the drinks of the young women and having sex with them. So, those are the facts. There was a trial. Bill Cosby ended up being found guilty, and he was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in state prison. And he also has to register as a sexually violent predator. Now, first off, my question to y'all, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about the sentencing?
I'm a little mixed, to be completely honest. Mostly because however he did admit to it, I think this is all about context. It's been proven in a few different instances where some of these women, not all, but some of these women have admitted to knowingly taking the Quaaludes. So whether it was a party or something of that nature, you knowingly went into the act. I don't think it excuses his behavior by any means. But in that same light, you can't sentence a man after 30 years, but then not sentence kids or individuals who are of a different race, who are doing the same crime with actual evidence and physical evidence at that, having the same thing, and get off on probation, such as Brock Turner, the little young kid that was caught fingering a girl in the alleyway.
Oh, we're going to talk about Brock today.
3 months of probation because they don't want to ruin his life. That's crazy.
We're definitely going to talk about Brock. I do want to push back against what you just said, and I think race is going to be an overarching theme of this episode, especially when we're talking about this Bill Cosby case. But so you said that some women knowingly took Quaaludes, right?
See,
but he wasn't being sentenced for taking Quaaludes or having women take Quaaludes, right? He was convicted to be like a sexually violent predator. So women can consent to taking drugs, alcohol, whatever substances, but the point is they did not consent to the sex.
True.
Right. So I feel like if you're sort of making it seem like they consented to taking drugs, but they didn't consent to having sex with Bill Cosby, I don't think that there should be any differences in how we're viewing this sexually violent predator.
Well, what I mean is well, for one, I wouldn't call him violent because we don't know the actual violence. Two, I think I
think rape is violence.
No, absolutely. But what I mean by it's actually violent as in like, usually when people think violence, they're not thinking of the act of rape. People are thinking of violence of like hitting or actual assault.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by that. I think rape as a whole is terrible and it should not happen. Period. I think that's a man problem as a whole. But to say violent is like, I think there's a different connotation when people say violent. That's what I mean.
But I think what they're saying with that classification is that rape is sexual violence.
Okay, I get
right?
that.
Like just like assault can be like physical violence.
True. But then apply it to everybody, not just Bill Cosby, because we don't hear that on the news about, again, the kid Brock, whatever his name is. You don't hear that about those like people who aren't Bill Cosby, who aren't black. You hear about us. We get classified as predators or stuff like that, as opposed to just being like a person that was dealt a bad hand, as they get classified sometimes.
So I think
that's my issue.
I think you're getting caught up on the term sexually violent predator is a legal term that he has to register as, just like as sexual offenders have to register as sex offenders.
Absolutely. What I mean is in terms of the media, that's what I'm saying. Like the media, I think has taken the case and spun it to a point where there is no turn for him. Not that there should be at all, by any means, but it's taken a turn where it's almost like, it almost reminds me of the OJ case where we all damn well know he's guilty on something, but it's the fact that like the way they've treated it and gone about it in such a disgusting way makes you want to like root for him in a nasty light.
So I wasn't, and John, you feel free to chime in.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't even in this country when the OJ case was going on because I was in Nigeria. But I can speak to this case now. There is the overwhelming connotation of race and Bill Cosby as a black celebrity and entrepreneur, and the barriers that he has to overcome to become successful. I know that all those things exist for him and other people like him, but when I hear of the acts that were described that he was accused of and eventually convicted of, which is the important part, and he admitted to, I can't even focus on anything else because I think that the act itself is heinous, and I have to see him as a sexual predator. And I know that like there is that whole term super predator that was around in the 1990s that Bill Clinton sort of
Hillary
used.
Clinton.
I mean, Bill Clinton was the politician at the time, so Bill Clinton used the term super predator in order to rally white moderates, right, who cared about safety. So I don't want people to conflate that term, that super predator term, that is a very racist term that's used to, portray black men as violent people. I don't want that to be conflated with Bill Cosby, who is an actual predator who was sexually violent. Those two things can like exist at the same time and be separate from each other.
Yeah, me on this whole case, I just feel disappointment because like after all the details and stuff like that, at the end of the day, first of all, it's 30 women. I mean,
30 plus.
30 plus. I mean, at that point, you can't sit here and be like, oh, all 30 plus women are lying. You know, it is what it is. This guy, I loved him but now his image is tarnished, and there's no getting around it. You could say, oh, some of the women agreed to taking the quaaludes, or like they put themselves in a situation. No, but like maybe if it was one. And not even, what I'm saying? But it's 30 women. So this guy obviously was a predator. And I feel that, yes, he was loved amongst the black community, everything like that. But he knew what he was doing. He was an adult then. He's 80. So that's, was he 83, 84?
He's been like 80 forever.
Yeah. So he's always been an adult in these situations. So he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was getting himself into. He got caught. He got convicted, and that's the end of the story. And it's horrible that it has to be like this. And this is a common thing amongst Hollywood. Like these guys think they could just, because they have all this status and this power, they could do what they want with women. It's not. It's not okay. Like I don't like it at all. And I think that I wish he would have got caught sooner. You know what I'm saying? Because now all this love and stuff that he gets from the people, and they just think that all these women are lying. Like I just wish he would have got caught sooner, nipped it right in the bud. Midway through his career, so he wouldn't have all like people still just claim that he's he's innocent. Like,
right.
So I have a question for the two of you actually. So do you feel that? Like, what do you guys feel holds back these women in general, not just the Cosby case, but in general, from speaking forward early on when these things happen to them?
They're afraid. They usually, these people who do it to them are in higher positions of power, so they have influence. They could, the women think that they could do something to them. It's just, I think a big part of it is fear, along with a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
Which would you?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I mean, I wish we kind of had a woman here in the room with us to just hear her perspective. But I think from the women that I've spoken to and what I've read, one, I think there is like, if a woman comes forward, what is going to be the result of what happens? I think because of gender dynamics, it's almost commonplace for women to be made to feel uncomfortable in situations, afraid in situations, or even deal with harassment or some form of quote unquote sexual violence. And it's just brushed away or it's laughed at, whether it's like if you work in, I don't know, if a woman works in an all male environment where the men can make very like explicit comments about sexual conquest, and like the woman feels uncomfortable and pressured and she has to sort of laugh it off. So I feel like when women get into positions where they're assaulted, they're raped, they're molested, they're like, even if I come forward, people are just going to be like, quote unquote, so what? If we can go to like, think about college campuses, for instance, right? Like, rape, sexual assault is really, really big on college campuses across America. But you'll see that a lot of schools, when the victims come forward and say, hey, I was raped by this specific classmate at this specific party, all the school cares about is its own reputation.
True.
They care about that reputation first more than they do about the well-being of the victim that was assaulted, and just wants to have an education and like quality of life and safety. So...
No, I completely agree. Again, I don't want to sit here and say that I approve anything Bill Cosby did. I think my issue was the way the media treated it. I still think
That's
100% that what you guys are saying is completely true. I think that, and wish that he did get caught sooner. I think it would have been a very different thing. I think it would have been less of a hassle to go through in the past couple of years of not knowing, supposedly not knowing, had he got caught sooner. But I also think that the example you gave with the schools is like the same thing. Like, I think that people are too afraid to come forward because of reasons like that.
And for a question for both of y'all, how do you feel like the media treated Bill Cosby, and do you think that he was quote unquote treated fairly?
I wasn't treated fairly in the sense that like I worked in a jail, so let's bring backstory for that. I worked in a jail, so I've been around rapists and pedophiles and all that for a solid 2 straight years. I personally don't have any sense of love or anything for them at all. Couldn't care less. However, if we're gonna do it to one person, do it to everyone. That's my whole thing. If we're gonna hold one standard to somebody else, hold to everybody. Famous or not famous, hold them to that same standard and keep it there. Don't bring it down because he's famous or this person's a unknown person. He's a kid. Fuck that. Like, you were taught a certain way or your mindset's a certain way, and you be shown that way, and that's the end of it. If you're a violent sexual predator, be that, and that's the end of all. That's the end all be all.
So how's Bill treated unfairly then?
Because what I'm saying is because other people who do the same crimes or similar aren't given that same light. They're not given that same attention. They're not deemed that in that manner.
The media is about. I think the aggression of the media is like with Bill's case. I feel like the media was more aggressive. There was more like there's more length of the story being covered than some others. They were covered, they were brought out, and then it kind of like just.
It would fizzle out.
Yeah, it fizzle out.
And the terminology was different.
Mm-hmm.
You have Charlie Sheen out here giving people HIV knowingly, and that was all of what, 2-month thing, and then it died off. Yep. And now focusing on Bill Cosby, HIV can kill you if you don't get the right treatment. Those pills are like over $1,000 a month or something around that matter. That can kill you, and he's getting all of 2 months. 2.5 Men still shows on TV, no problem.
So then. I'm struggling to understand how Bill Cosby is being treated unfairly. I think that Bill Cosby is being treated fairly. I just think that you're saying that all of the other celebrities, let's say the white celebrities, are not getting the same treatment.
Exactly. So I'm saying it's not so much unfair, but it's not on the same playing field.
I think the problem with you saying that though is it almost sounds like you're saying that like. It's wrong that that Bill doesn't get all of these passes that the white celebrities do. Like, that's what it comes off as.
That's not what I'm saying, but it's like if you can't treat, you can, but it's not right to treat certain people one way with the same crime and treat others another way. That's like when a 15-year-old black kid commits a crime and he's deemed as like this violent child and condemned to like 10, 20 years of life, whatever, in prison. Versus the same white kid who commits the same crime, and he's given probation because they don't want to ruin his life, or they don't want to take him from high school, they don't take him from his family. That's what I mean. Like, I don't want to say like Bill Cosby did things right. It's not right. I don't care what he did enough to say that he should be given any kind of passes, but don't treat him as if he's the only one and make him this martyr to like get condemned into the hell.
Right, and I mean I want to make a little bit of a distinction. The distinction that I want to make is there's the crime itself and how black people and white people get treated unequally. But I think we're specifically talking about media coverage, right? Mm-hmm. And you're saying like the way that Bill Cosby is being portrayed in the media is a lot worse than
others.
A Charlie Sheen.
Exactly. Not that it's not warranted, by the way, but due to everyone. That's my point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with you're saying. I'm cool with what you just said with like the whole apply the same standard to everyone. But I do not feel bad that Bill Cosby got shit on for years in the media. Like, I'm glad that he did. I feel like every predator should. And
absolutely.
Whenever they do that to Bill, I'm not going to be like, oh well, why is he getting this and someone else doesn't get it? Like, no, let's just advocate for everyone who is a violent offender to be shamed and to be convicted and to be labeled as the violent predators that they are.
No, and that's my thing. I don't feel bad for him at all either. But again, due to everyone. That's my first thought. But whenever the next one comes up, I want the same treatment. I want that every single time it happens.
When you heard about the Kevin Spacey?
Yep, him too.
Can you talk a little bit about that and just explain to us what happened?
I was just reading. So Kevin Spacey was a couple of people came forward that he was sexually harassing men. He had a few allegations on him for that. And the thing I just wanted to, I'm just reading. I don't know too much about it. I just heard about it. I heard stuff here and there about it. But the thing I wanted to bring up about that is the fact that when that happened, I initially heard about it. Mm-hmm. There was some news coverage on it. It was a big thing. He had a master class online. There's like this online site called Master Class. Mm-hmm. And that's when different actors and sports people, they teach what they do. in the class. That got taken down. I think he was playing House of Cards. I don't know. I don't know if he's even in that anymore.
No, he got kicked out of the show.
He got kicked out of that. So like all that stuff happened. It was like a blip. You know, they found it out. The people came forward, said they got sexually harassed. It was in the news. It was out the news. That was it. It was like I don't know if there was a case that brought up against him. I didn't hear no more about that. But something like the Bill Cosby was like constantly covered.
Well, so
constantly covered.
Here's the thing, just for a little bit of backstory, because I mean, I've read this and followed this pretty closely because I grew up loving Bill Cosby. I love the Cosby Show. I loved Different World. I still watch A Different World whenever the reruns come on. But the women in Bill Cosby's situation, they've been making the allegations for years. They've been trying to press charges for years. What ended up happening, most of those women, they were either coerced. I mean, you've talked about the power dynamics in Hollywood. A lot of them get coerced by the production companies that are behind the mega superstars. They'll say, take this payout, sign a non-disclosure, never say anything about it again. So that happened with some women. Some of the other women, it never made its way to court, or some of the other women, they were too afraid to come forward because Bill Cosby is a powerful man. Like literally, Bill Cosby was America's dad, you know, in his heyday. How do you come forward against America's dad? Who was going to believe you? But what ended up happening was, I think around 2014, a comedian who goes by the name of Hannibal Buress, he was just, you know, it was a well-known thing in Hollywood that like Bill Cosby's a rapist, right? So he made a joke about that. That joke went viral, and it was sort of that firestorm that created the renewed interest in, you know, in investigating all of the issues. And it just happened to be that it was that one woman that the statute of limitations hadn't expired yet. So she was the one woman who was able to sue, press charges, argue her case in court, and win the case. So, you know, that's the backstory. What do you guys think about the fact that the man who brought down Bill Cosby is Hannibal Buress, another black man? I mean, how does that make you feel?
Perfectly okay. I have no issue with that at all. I think someone needs to do it, and hey.
Yeah, because you know what it is? Like, we always had this thing like, you know, oh, you know, stand up for our black people. You know, our black people are getting, you know, they're getting, you know, we're getting discriminated against. We're getting targeted, all stuff like that. But at the same time, we're not angels, you know, and sometimes we have to hold each other accountable for our actions. So the fact that, you know, another black man was the one who brought him down, that's totally fine, because that's somebody, you know, keeping check on us. We have to protect our image. Like, people look at us a certain way. Like, so when, you know, our brothers acting up, we gotta get them to hold them accountable, you know. So I feel like, you know, it is what it is with that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I know with our friendships, one thing I appreciate about y'all is whenever I'm messing up in some way, you guys will not hesitate to check in or check me and just say, hey, Bucci, you're kind of fucking up. Get your shit together. Most of the time I'll listen. Sometimes I won't, because I'm just in my feelings about something or someone. But
the fact that, like, you have us to do that, though, it still weighs in more. Like, how you say that is how I feel about the same way with you guys. Like, you're there to put me in check if I need to be put in check. I may not listen, but I know it's out there for that to happen for me. So it's like, I'm not surrounded by a bunch of people that are just going to follow suit with what I say and what I do.
And who knows if Bill Cosby had that or not. Maybe, I don't know. I know that friendships in Hollywood is always
fickle.
So maybe he didn't. He just felt like, you know, being America's dad and all that just got to his head, and he could do whatever he wants.
No, I think he's just a sick person. I don't think there's no amount of getting to my head that you can do to make me go and say, hey, I'm going to rape somebody today. There's no amount of that.
So you don't think that, like, having a close network of people to, you know, to keep encouraging you to do the right thing will help you do the right thing?
Personally, like, from my experiences working in a jail, no. I think there's a fine line of doing a normal crime and then doing that. I think once you do that, that's something chemically in your mind that's off. I think that once you have those thoughts and when you put those thoughts to action, you're off. You're not right in the mind, and there is no healing that personally. I don't believe that there is by any standard at all. I think being in jail does nothing for you. I think being alive and around the world does nothing for you. I don't think having the whole label as a predator and on some list does a whole lot, because if I'm going to be a predator, I'm going to find a way to be a predator. But that's just me having worked at a jail. Like, I don't see how they heal any better, because I've seen them get worse.
So you think the people who are like the rapists, molesters, you think that they are that way because of their like not genetics, but like their psyche, or what?
I think it's a mixture of psyche and trauma. I think a lot of times facts are that a lot of times when people who display that kind of behavior, they've gone through that's a similar trauma in their own life, whether they've been abused by a parent or someone close to them. And 9 out of 10 is typically a parent or a family member or someone within their household, someone that has access to them at all times, that causes that abuse that ends up manifesting itself in a different way as they grow and get older, because it goes unchecked. Because a lot of times you get young women who get sexually abused, or young men as well, and parents sometimes don't believe them. It's, oh, they were joking with you. Oh, this didn't happen. I don't believe you, because parents are less trusting of the child because they don't want their in disbelief that's happened to my kid. And then that ends up manifesting into itself, where the child develops in most men, I guess, at times where, well, now I'm older, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I have the power to abuse this young lady over here, or this young boy, or this young woman over here. And with women, it comes out in a different way. So,
yeah, I definitely think mental health is a big reason. I mean, I just also think that like the concept of the patriarchy is a big reason. Like when someone as a kid grows up powerless, when someone as a kid grows up being abused, when someone as a kid is bullied, when they get older and you're a man, you're like, I'm physically strong, and when I was a kid, I didn't control my life. My parents told me when to wake up, when to go to sleep, what to eat. Now I can make all those decisions for myself. Now I have the power.
Yep. And
whenever I see someone who threatens that power, I'm just gonna reassert that power. And I think that's what ends up happening with a lot of these men who will find vulnerable women and just take advantage of them. So yeah, I think it's a mix of both mental health and like the whole concept of like, I'm a powerful man, and so I should take advantage of it to the full extent that I can.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. John,
I agree. Here's what it is. Put Mr. Jello Man in behind bars.
Pudding pot man.
Put the bottle in the jello and they put the quail.
Yeah, he's gonna be eating a lot of pudding.
Something else too. Can't even see.
So do you guys think that the sentence is a fair sentence? I mean, none of us here are lawyers. He got 3 to 10 years, so he's doing a minimum 3 years, maximum of 10 years.
I think for what they were given on evidence, sure, I prefer longer. But I think we'll give up evidence. I mean, he's put away, and I guess to some degree, justice is served. But I would see longer. But again, this is me coming from a biased standpoint as a correctional officer. Yeah. I personally think that all rapists and people like that should just
life in jail, right?
I go so far as to say just put him out of misery and call it a day.
Wow, death sentence.
I've seen the worst of the worst, and I'm all set with them as a whole.
You're for the death penalty?
Absolutely.
How come?
I think some people just can't be healed. I think there's just no point, honestly. I think that
once a predator, always a predator.
Yeah, I think this is not even just predators necessarily, but just people in general, where you're just born sick, or just you've gone through too much trauma where there's no coming back from it. Like you have the people that commit murders, the mass murders too, at that, with no remorse whatsoever. What sense does it make to bring them back out into society, thinking that they're healed now? Like, it's crazy.
There's a whole nother topic right there. The jail system, does it really rehabilitate?
It depends where you are.
let's talk about it.
It depends where you are.
You think, if Bill Cosby serves 3 to 10, you think he comes out and still doesn't want to?
I think Bill Cosby comes out, he's gonna want to. I mean,
Think want to?
chances are he's not gonna have the ability to do so, but
Be too old. Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna come back looking like new Gucci Mane. You know,
you never know. Have new
Imagine
eyes,
that come
new vision,
new Bill Cosby. Like, wait a minute, how do you
6-pack,
how do you come out looking?
got some whey gelatin.
Yeah, wait. Wow, yeah,
But no, I think the jail system, the prison system as a whole is skewed. Personally, I don't think it helps anybody. At least where I'm at.
You know what? Like, they should start like I think it just needs to be turned upside down, because there's like some stuff where it's like, how is jail gonna like help? You know, how's jail gonna rehabilitate me? If I sold a couple of things of weed, like, I don't need to be rehabilitated. Put me in the.
I'll help you with that. It doesn't. I'll be perfectly blunt. Once you get that first felony on your record, it immediately eliminates you from several jobs. Like, off rip. Like, you're not getting jobs. Your chances of getting into school are slim to none, because you you forever have to write on your application that you are a felon and you committed a crime, no matter what the crime may be. But it's still on your record as a felon, right? So a lot of times in the jails, especially where I worked at, is they tell you to do construction. And it's to work for OSHA specifically. OSHA is a company that will hire people with records, but the pay isn't as good as those with like an actual, who go through the training of being a construction worker. Basically, you don't get those kind of qualifications, so you don't make as much money. You work long hours, just like everyone else does still, and you do the same amount of work for less money, and then you get put back in the same lifestyle. So saying, like you said, selling weed or whatever, you're living off this less money now. Chances are you're gonna go back to selling weed to make the same amount of money you were doing before to get by again. Yeah. But now you can't get a job because of that same felon. Yeah. But you have in other countries, in other places in America probably too, where you're in jail and the society is set up to where like you're actually learning how to apply to jobs. You're learning how to make a resume. A lot of these guys come out and they're given less of what they had when they went in. Yeah. Like, you're getting put in for things. Let's say child support evasion, right? While you're in jail, it doesn't go away. It actually continues to mount up every month you're there. So then when you come back out now and pay back child support, but then you couldn't afford it when you first went in. Exactly. And then you go back to jail because
you have jail time.
And now you have more, and you make less money, and you're basically working as a slave because you make less than $1 to actually work when you're in jail. Exactly. So it's a very backward system.
Yeah, well, I mean, you hit on important things. I'm very opinionated about like the prison system, the prison industrial complex with the death penalty. I can talk for a long ass time. I'll try to keep it short. So I mean, with the whole the roots of the prison system in America, when slavery was still legal in America, after the Civil War, slavery ended. The 13th Amendment was passed, which basically said that you can't legally enslave people except if they are prisoners. Yep. Right. So after slavery ended, the number of prisoners in the United States rose. And if I don't have a chart in front of me, but if you look at a chart of the number of prisoners over time in the United States, it has risen dramatically compared to the rest of the world. And when you compare it to other developed countries with maybe similar demographics, the numbers just aren't the same, right? So there's that, there's a 13th Amendment. You see that disproportionately the people who are imprisoned are Black, brown, Hispanic people. The types of crimes that they're getting in prison for. I mean, we've talked about earlier how Black kids, even from a very young age, they get harsher sentencing for committing the same crimes. Young Black kids are getting targeted for just walking down a block, for just being in a neighborhood where they quote unquote don't belong. So, my opinions about the prison system in general is that, it is racist. It is meant to perpetuate slavery and meant to enrich a lot of corporations, because a lot of these prisons, they contract with corporations to have them do their labor, right? So, like, a lot of your French fries from McDonald's are from prisoners who peel your potatoes. So how does that make you feel if you love to eat McDonald's? They contract with companies like Starbucks, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm really conflicted about that. And Will, when you were kind of talking about the death penalty, I don't know what should happen with those violent, most violent criminals and predators, but I know that part of the reason why a lot of us, and when I say us, I mean black men, end up in jail is because of a racist system. Because of these structural inequalities, a lot more of us are getting put down a pipeline into prison. So I don't know if I can support saying, hey, let's have the death penalty, because I'm signing away the life of a lot of black men who were put in this place by a racist system. So I don't believe in a death penalty. I believe in, in completely reforming the prison industrial complex in America.
But I get that.
But what about the people who the evidence, everything points to the fact that this person is just the worst kind of scum, and there's like no coming back from that.
So who is the arbiter of justice? Who's the one to say that I get to decide that this person should not live? And like, that's my pushback to you.
I get that, but then, okay, let's say, was that Dylan Roof, that kid? The one that killed all the people in the church? Mm-hmm. Let's say he gets out next year. Like, hypothetically, he gets out next year, does the same shit again. Who's to say that he doesn't now, or George Zimmerman, for that matter, who goes around and toting the fact that he killed a young man, a young black man at that.
Oh, George Zimmerman got to go. He threatened Beyonce, and nobody threatens Beyonce. I'm gonna put it out there.
Beehive got to leave me.
Beehive would take care of him.
No, the fuck they won't. All that shit talking y'all do something.
Beehive would take care of him.
No. I'm challenging you all right now. All that shit talking y'all do on Instagram.
The Beehive is being challenged.
And all the craziness. Do something then. Shoot that man up. Do what you gotta do. Whoop his ass. Beat him up. Jump him.
Let's go, Beehive.
Don't matter. Just do something to prove to me how loyal you are to Beyonce. And Beyonce, I love you. If you ever try to leave Jay-Z, I'm here. Where's your keys? You too.
Oh, we doing shout outs?
I mean, gotta shoot my shot. Shoot or shoot, man.
Bria Miles, I love you. If you ever listen to this, Bria, I love you. Yes.
And if you don't love John, I'm 6'2", man. I can look you over.
Don't even listen to this guy.
John wear boots with platform shoes so he can say he's 5'9".
I'm 5'10".
You're clicking his heels and shit.
Ladies, I'm 5'10".
Oh man, look at you.
Athletic build.
Don't lie now, you lying motherfucker.
Braids. Brilliant smile. How we go from prison to?
I don't know. But back to the prison thing. What were you saying?
I mean, I think
the death sentence.
Yeah. That.
So
I hear you coming from Bucci, but like, and this true. Who are we to be like, yes, you need to die because you're a piece of shit? It's very true. And honestly, I don't have the strongest comeback to that. But at the same time, I guess the only way I come back to that is just that, like, they're just, I don't know. Like, if there's a person that just does something so heinous and, like, they've been, some of these really heinous people, they get interviewed and get studied by psychologists and stuff like that. And then you could just come to the conclusion, like, if we let this man out, like, there's no way anybody's ever gonna be safe with this man now. Like, but you would rather him just rot in jail, and he could probably do the same thing in the jail.
So here's my thing. You're focusing on one specific individual, and I'm focusing on a system. And I believe that if the death penalty exists, that the system will feed through a lot of black men, some who and
Maybe
I'm not
innocent.
the one to say that one person deserves to die, but like some who don't quote unquote deserve to die will be put through that same system. So my pushback is to you. My pushback to you is: are you willing to let a lot of people who don't deserve to die get pushed through that same death penalty system just to get this one person off the face of the earth?
Then I think there has to be a standard at that point. Like,
But he's
I'm
saying the
still-
system is corrupt, where
no,
those standards
absolutely.
are nothing.
But I think, for lack of a better way to put it, we'll probably all be long gone before that shit ever gets fixed. Just to be completely
You're right
honest.
about that.
Like, where we are now, we should have already been through racism. We should have already been through the social injustices that are happening now. But somehow we're moving backwards.
But isn't racism solved? Barack Obama was the first black president.
I'll be damned. They call that nigga a monkey every damn time they got. So that wasn't solved at all. Actually, I think if anything, it was on the right path in some ways, but then it also exposed a lot of things that happened afterwards. Because obviously, as we just recently saw, the moment he's not president, they put someone in who to kind of reinforce the
Undone everything.
or put back in the boy place in the logic of, you know, you thought you were going somewhere, but nah, you're back here still. Like, and let's go back even further now to make sure you really feel how you're supposed to be. So I don't think it helped. I think it actually kind of made things worse in a certain way. It may help in a light where, in those 8 years, young minorities saw you can get to those heights and those levels. But then just to get turned around and shown that, like, if you do, there's a lot of shit that comes with it. You look at LeBron James and all the things he does in life that are just great for these kids in Akron and all around the world, and it's the hope and motivation he gives to these kids. Just to have nigga wrote on his wall at his house I think in Brentwood, California.
Ridiculous.
Which is crazy. Like he's literally the model example of black, white, Asian, no matter what you are, what you want to strive as, because he works hard. He does everything. He has a wife and kids. You don't see him on the news for anything negative, nothing wrong, and yet that was still a reminder of, like, this is all you are still.
Yeah, the most negative thing about LeBron James is that he loses a lot in the NBA Finals.
And his hairline.
Well, hey, listen, I got a receding hairline, so I support him. Listen, if I had enough money, I'd hit up Safari's doctor and get that transplant ASAP.
Oh my gosh.
Safari, man, that dude shooting his shot all day with Nicki Minaj.
That guy.
Waste of time. Anyways, that's my personal thoughts.
So I mean, this whole conversation started because we were talking about, like, Bill Cosby's sentencing and like if we thought it was too light.
Lengthy?
Yeah. I don't know if I answered that question, but I definitely think that I think that 3 to 10 years was basically a death sentence because he's
For him, at his
like
age,
he's
yeah.
really old. He has bad health. He can barely see out of one eye. Yeah, I'm just glad that some of the victims can feel closure toward knowing that, like, someone believes them, and I think that's a big problem with a lot of victims who experience assault and rape or whatever it is. Like, they don't come forward because they feel like no one will believe them. And for those victims, they felt like, all right, someone.
Yeah,
actually
in
believes them.
that sense, that definitely a big step for, because that whole industry, that's a really big problem, and I think with that conviction is a big step towards more people coming forward and getting these people caught and locked up. So I think that's a positive that comes out of that very bad situation. I definitely agree on that.
All right. Well, I think we can wrap this episode here. We had some pretty good conversation.
Yes, sir. This was
Again,
a very serious episode.
Yeah, serious episode. But we appreciate y'all listening. Definitely look forward to the next episode.
And Theo Huxtable, you that man, dude.
Oh,
Forever and always.
right.
Theo was that
Oh,
dude.
that was, yeah. I remember that.
And Rudy Huxtable was. Actually older.
Yeah.
Keisha Knight Pulliam.
I was waiting for you
Keisha
to-
Knight Pulliam.
Yeah.
When she got older, I meant as in current nowadays.
Yeah.
Clean it up now. Jesus Christ.
We're just going to let this one pass.
Cheer.
All right. See you next time. All right. Thank you.